The seats have been sold, of course, as the Dallas Cowboys are in Philadelphia. All the nasty words have been spoken. All the hateful phrases have been written. As you look at the NFC Eastern Division standings, Philadelphia on top, Dallas a game back. It was just like that a year ago, at least as far as the top two were concerned. Should be a dandy this afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm Pat Summerall. This, of course, is John Madden. They say big games, and this is a dandy. Or one on defense. You'd say that, John, you'd have to think it's advantage Philadelphia.
I agree with that in part. You know, and the Eagles have a great defense. They probably have the better defense, but there's many more elements than that. And one of the things is that the Dallas Cowboy defense is very opportunistic. And as Tom Landry says, we get some, they get some. Sometimes we get more than they do.
They talk about maybe 80 passes being thrown in this contest. You throw against Dallas on first down, you throw against Philadelphia on first down. That may not be the entire answer, however.
I don't think so. I think we'll see a lot of passes. There'll be a lot of talk about the young defense. There'll be a lot of talk about the quarterbacks and receivers. But I can see that this game could very well boil down to the two running backs, Wilbert Montgomery and Tony Dorsett. I believe that the running back that gains the most yards, that team will win. But in any case, there's a lot of excitement in this stadium, and as Drew Pearson said last week, this is the Thrilla and Phila, and I can't wait to watch it.
And we start off, John, by the ball falling off the tee as Tony Franklin will kick off for Philadelphia. Back deep for Dallas, number 23, the dangerous James Jones. Newsom and Fellows back there with him. Franklin again has the ball fall off the tee. Tony, of course, with one shoe on and one shoe off. And was he ever kicking some rockets in pregame warm-up? From 60 yards out he was hitting with only one step. Now he's 6.5 yards away. He'll come off the instep of Tony Franklin to start this game. Deep kickoff by Franklin. It is Timmy Newsom who starts from the goal line. He's got a hole. Newsom out to about the 26. He almost broke it. Dallas will take over, and we'll take a look at that Dallas offensive unit right now. The offensive backs and receivers, Danny White, the red-hot Tony Dorsett, Ron Springs, Tony Hill, and Drew Pearson wide. The offensive line, B.J. Dupree, Donovan, Scott, Rafferty permanently now at center, Kurt Peterson at guard, Jim Cooper the other tackle. We'll look at the Eagle defense after this first play, and Danny White brings him out on first down. Dorsett and Springs the setbacks, and now they move into that tandem. It'll be Dorsett. He's had some long afternoons recently here. That Eagle defense led by Frank LeMaster takes him down right at the line of scrimmage.
That Eagle defense is waiting for Tony Dorsett, isn't it?
Here's the front three. They play the 3-4. Harrison. Johnson is the nose guard, the middle guard. The linebackers, Wilkes, Al Chesley in place of Bill Berge, LeMaster, and Robinson. And the secondary, and it's good. They play mostly zone, Young, Edwards, Logan, and Bernard Wilson. Drew Pearson wide to the right, Tony Hill to the left. Second down, 10. Was Doug Cosby. Danny White looks to Cosby. Pass, I believe, was deflected.
Like Danny White wasn't sure whether he wanted to throw it to Cosby inside or Drew Pearson on the sideline, and looks like he got caught right in between when he threw that one.
So it'll be third down at the 25. Dorsett lost a yard on that first carry. You look at John Makovic along with Tom Landry. As usual, very dapper. In the cowboy blue.
He always looks good, doesn't he?
He really does.
No wear and tear on Tom Landry.
There is Danny White out of the shotgun with Butch Johnson also in the game. Dorsett stays in the block. White down the middle. Intended for Jay Saldi. And White will have to do the rest of his act. That would be punting. Listen to the crowd.
They are wild and ready for this one, Pat. Look at them. They love their Eagles. They love their Eagle defense. They have organized cheers like the colleges.
They love their Eagles and they hate these Cowboys. Wally Henry back deep for Philadelphia. Philadelphia offense. First of all, the wide receivers in the backs. Jaworski, Montgomery, Hubert Oliver's the fullback, Harold Carmichael wide on one side, and Charlie Smith the other. Krepley, the tight end. It's a good offensive line. Walters, Payroll, Guy Morris, the center, Ron Baker, and Jerry Sizemore. 42-yard punt by Danny White. We'll check the Dallas defense as soon as Jaworski has one chance.
I bet this first chance is a pass. I bet they come out passing.
Montgomery is a lone setback. Two tight ends on the right side. A new formation. Long count by Jaworski. You're right. Carmichael. They go right to work on Dennis Thurman, and that's the matchup that Tom Landry fears most.
That's what he was telling us last night. You know, before they were talking about the speed. He said now it's the height. He's worried about Carmichael on Dennis Thurman.
Dallas plays, of course, the 4-3. Four down linemen: Ed Jones, Dutton, Randy White, and Harvey Martin. Three linebackers: Heckman, Brunig, and Dede Lewis. And the secondary, two free agents in there. Walls is one of them. The other is down. Charlie Waters and Dennis Thurman, the other two. 8-yard pickup. Call it 7 yards. Make it 2nd and 3. First down, Philadelphia in Dallas territory. It's Oliver, the fullback. Bob Brunig made the tackle.
This is very interesting. You know, we look at this Dallas defense, and everyone is talking about that. They're 15th against the rush. They're 26th against the pass, and they're 26th in total defense. Now, that's bad. But I'll tell you, there's another statistic that I think is even more important, the ratio of turnovers. Look at this. In takeaway, giveaway, they're plus 15, the best in the NFL.
And that's how their record has remained as good as it is. But it's the game behind the Eagles. First down. Two tight ends. Jaworski will throw on first, and does. Intended Carmichael. He got a hand on it, then he was hit by Walls and couldn't recover in time to catch the football.
And one thing, Harold Carmichael is 6'8", but he doesn't like these passes up in the air. See, that's too tall for Harold. Goes a little too far out in front of him. No receiver likes to get in that position. You see where he gets stretched out and his ribs are exposed? They hate that. And Harold Carmichael was telling me the other day, he said, that seems to happen to me more than anyone else just because I'm 6'8".
That's an awfully big target. That's the book on Jaworski in 81. Almost the same as Danny White. Jaworski on 2nd and 10 from the Dallas 48. Again, it's a long count. Dallas faking blitz, and now they do. Outside Krepley, he has it. That's Michael Downs on the tackle. Krepley got about 6. It'll be 3rd down for the Eagles.
I'll tell you, Jaworski did a good job on that of getting rid of the ball. Watch him here. He'll see the blitz coming now. He knows that he doesn't have much time. It's just 1-2, boom. He hits Krepley out there right on the run. That was a safety blitz, a strong safety. We saw Charlie Waters coming up the inside.
And the Eagles picked it up very well. Now Dallas comes in with the extra defensive backs. And the Eagles operate with that double tight end offense and the one lone setback. 3rd and 3. Montgomery's out. And so the fullback stays in. Hubert Oliver to block for Jaworski. Let's see if he does. Oliver swings to the outside, and he is cut down. A loss of a couple. Dede Lewis made the tackle. And Max Runiger will come on for the Eagles to punt it.
That was great defense by Dallas. What the Eagles were trying to do is show them a pass formation against their pass defense and then run the ball to the fullback. Dallas didn't buy it at all. The line waited there. The linebackers were right up in the hole.
James Jones, number 23, goes back with Ron Fellows for Dallas. Runiger standing at about his 42-yard line. Very little wind. Temperature about 60 degrees. An ideal day. No sunshine. So that won't be any problem. Runiger hangs it high. Very high. Steve Wilson. And Dallas will take over their second possession of the day after that 30-yard punt by Runiger. But he wasn't trying to kick it that far, just high. Pat Summerall with John Madden at the Vet in Philadelphia. 0-0 between the Cowboys and the Eagles. Both sort of probed on their first offensive formation setups. Here's Ron Springs for a couple, not much more. tackle. Dick Vermeil over on the sideline. No team is better prepared, I guarantee you that. Those of you who watched Atlanta get back on track, beating New Orleans 41-10, welcome to the Vet in Philadelphia, where it's 0-0 between the Cowboys and the Eagles. Pat Summerall with John Madden with 10:50 left in the first quarter. No score. Double tight end setup now for Dallas. Dupree on the right, Cosby on the left. A box play. White has nowhere to go, and that's the smartest move he could make. Ken Clark.
I'll tell you, this crowd does something to you, and it looks like Dallas is feeling that a little, because that really shouldn't happen. This is the 9th game of the regular season, and both backs went to the left side, and Danny White turned and came out to the right side. And as you say, he did the right thing. He went down. The other thing he could have done is followed his 2 running backs to the left side.
A loss of 6 yards on that play as the mix-up cost Dallas. And White goes back in the shotgun. Tony Hill. Butch Johnson was the man in motion. Tony Hill will have a Dallas first down on a strike from Danny White.
I tell you, Danny White had a bad play the play before, but it didn't take him much time as we watch Tony Hill working here on Richard Blackmore, the corner. See, it's a man-to-man thing. He'll just get some depth. He moves to the outside, and White really made a great throw on that one.
Blackmore is the 5th defensive back that the Eagles come in with in their nickel setup. First down Dallas after that 21-yard pass completion from White to Tony Hill. This time Drew Pearson comes out to the right. Hill goes left. Here's Dorsett coming in motion and setting up on the right side now. And now going back in the other direction. And White will drop and throw on first. And fires. Tony Hill again with some room to run. Another Dallas first down at the 45. Herman Edwards made the stop.
We just saw Tom Landry call a play. You know, he stopped the signaling, and he calls them himself now as we watch Tony Hill again. It's just a hook pattern. See, Philadelphia is mostly a zone team, and that wasn't a man-to-man. And he hooked in front of the corner and between the linebackers.
Doug Cosby will now be the first down tight end for Dallas. He's lined up tight right. So far, Dorsett's been held in check, but White's got the hot arm right now. Reverse to Cosby, and Doug gets a couple. The Eagles played that well. Jerry Robinson and Frank LeMaster, 2 of the Eagle linebackers, stopped him.
Jerry Robinson had seen that reverse before, hadn't he? What you try and do, Jerry Robinson was a right linebacker, as we see him there, number 56, and you try and get them to pursue to the left side so you can get out around them. The play went to the right. Jerry Robinson didn't buy it. He just waited right there for the reverse.
Pickup of 2 make it 2nd and 8 for Dallas with 8:45 left first quarter, and Dallas on the move. Line of scrimmage their own 47. Johnson and Hill both lined up together out wide to the right, and now Hill swings back in motion. And White can't get away from the Eagle rush. It's Ken Clark. Came right up the middle. They only rushed 3 men, but they got the good pressure.
That's right. They start Charlie Johnson at the nose tackle, but Ken Clark comes in. Now watch him. He's right over the center. He starts to the left, and then he comes back to the right up the middle. Danny White didn't have a chance, but Ken Clark is the pass-rushing nose tackle, and Charlie Johnson is the run nose tackle.
A loss of 10 on that sack by Clark. The Cowboys had enough blockers, but somehow they didn't see him as he got away from Rafferty.
I think the play pass, excuse me, Pat, I think Dorsett on the play pass action got in the way of the pass protection.
White not satisfied with the formation or the personnel and goes over to discuss it with Tom Landry as the Cowboys take their first time out of the first half. Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia is rocking. The chant you hear is the sellout crowd spelling out Eagles. It's 3rd down and 18 Dallas at their own 37. 3 wide receivers, Butch Johnson. Eagles blitz. Pearson slipped down. He was the intended receiver, but he slipped on the artificial turf. Blackmore, the defender. White will have to punt.
It looks like on that 5 defensive backs that they're working on Richard Blackmore. This is one of the few times that the Eagles will play man-to-man. We see Drew Pearson there. He was coming down, and he just started to make his cut, and he fell down. A lot of interceptions come on those types of plays.
Danny White back in punt formation. Wally Henry deep for the Eagles. Henry standing back at about his own 22-yard line. Ball doesn't turn over but hangs up there, and Henry goes back to the 20. Henry gets away from one, is cut down by Steve Wright. Let's check some of the other scores around the league. That's the final penalty marker down here in Philadelphia. You saw the Jets beat the Giants. Atlanta over New Orleans. San Francisco continues to roll. They beat Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh 17-14. We'll check the penalty. 43-yard punt by White. Excuse me, John. Usually on a punting situation or a kickoff situation, of course, it's against the receiving team, in this case the Eagles, for some kind of an illegal block in the back.
That's probably one of those illegal block above the waist.
Number 29 on the receiving team during the kick. First down.
In this case, it's holding. The officials for today, Jerry Seaman is the referee, and the rest of his staff. First time we've heard from him, with 7:40 left in the first quarter and no score in Philadelphia. Harvey Martin. Don't have to say too much to get him ready to play against the Eagles, do you?
He's just giving that mouthpiece a rest before he puts it back in. There it goes. Now he's ready to go.
First down, Philadelphia at their own 10. Dallas in the flex. On the right side. Montgomery stopped right at the line of scrimmage and hit down hard by John Dutton. Right now for an NFL update, let's go to Brent Musburger in New York.
Pat Billy Sims has returned for the Detroit Lions, but it's the other running back, Wendell Tyler, who has exploded for the Los Angeles Rams. 69 yards. The Rams now lead the Lions by 7. Back to you in Veterans Stadium.
And so far, no score in Veterans Stadium. It's 0-0 between the Eagles and the Cowboys. Big John Dutton. They say he is progressing and learning to play the flex.
And playing a lot better along with Too Tall Jones.
Second down, 7 from the 13. Montgomery again with some room. He almost broke that one. Randy White, the first man to hit him with help from Bob Brunig and Mike Eggman.
That Randy White is really something. He's one of the most active defensive linemen that we'll ever see. You know, he's kind of like a half lineman and half linebacker. Half man and half monster also, isn't he? Look at the arms on that guy. Whew, I love it. Quick little sweat there, huh? Let's go get him.
Make you want to be back on the sideline, Jack?
I feel that way. Ooh.
Oh, this crowd is electric. 3 wide receivers for Philadelphia. Rodney Parker in the game. Timeout, Philadelphia. Jaworski didn't have the alignment that he wanted, and so now both the Cowboys and the Eagles have burned a timeout. They both have 2 left. Dick Vermeil on the left. They're on 14. Jaworski now operates out of the shotgun. Montgomery and Campfield flank him on either side. Jaworski going deep. Pass is caught out of bounds by Rodney Parker. Back there with him was Steve Wilson. And the Eagles will have to punt.
You know, it was interesting, the shotgun there. Dick Vermeil was telling us yesterday that they put in the shotgun for the Dallas pass rush. Watch out. Right at the end, Rodney Parker just can't stay inside. It was really a perfect pass, but just a little to the outside. He tried, but he couldn't stand it. It was good pass coverage by Steve Wilson also.
Number 4 is Max Runniger, standing with 1 foot in the end zone. James Jones back close to midfield for Dallas. try to put the rush on Runniger. Taking a lot of time. Runniger hangs it high. Jones retreats to the 40, to the 39, slips, gets underway and is taken down by John Shira, number 21. Let's check some other scores. 47-yard punt by Runniger. Atlanta 41-10 over New Orleans. The Buccaneers, after getting through playing Super Bowl teams, beat Chicago 20-10. San Francisco with Super Bowl ideas, 17-14 over Pittsburgh. Miami 27, Baltimore 10. That's the final. At Buffalo, oh, they played tough defense, don't they? 22-13. Cincinnati 34, Houston 21. That's also a final. The Jets beat the Giants 26-7. First down, Dallas. At their own 45. Two tight ends on this first down. Set. 5 quick ones. More scores, and these are not finals. Third quarter, Seattle over Green Bay 24-21. Theotis Browns helped them. Washington 14, St. Louis nothing first quarter. And in Los Angeles, you saw that touchdown run a minute ago by Wendell Tyler. The Rams over Detroit 7-0 first quarter. They say. That's his nickname, Tony Dorsett. White will throw, 2nd and 5. Cosby to the Eagle 36-yard line. Dallas first down. Wrestled to the ground by Randy Logan.
Well, I tell you, he zipped that one in. This is a great throw here because we're going to see Al Chesley is right by the ball. You see 59 there, Chesley? Now watch him. He starts inside, just misses that ball, but that's one thing about Cosby. 6'6", he's a big target, and a quarterback can always find him in there.
Plus, he has very good hands.
Right, and he didn't have much room in there.
A double tight end set up as here is Dorsett. Tony T down to about the 30. Another 5. LeMaster tripped him up. Partial scores from elsewhere. Kansas City 7, San Diego 7. That's a big one. And Oakland and New England tied at 3 apiece first quarter.
They're just kind of getting started out there.
Dallas has the football, 2nd down and 4 just outside the Eagle 30 as Raphael Septien loosens up on the sideline. Springs and Dorsett behind White on 2nd down. Springs got away from one Eagle tackler and lunged for about 3.5 yards. Robinson made the tackle.
Like Frank LeMaster, number 55, penetrated in there, and he had Springs for a second. Then Springs just kept his feet going, and you know that's what a running back has to do: is keep your feet going, keep gaining ground.
A couple of years ago, when Springs was a rookie here in Philadelphia, and Dorsett got hurt, he had perhaps the best game he ever had. That was when he was a tailback. Now he's a fullback.
Say that he really worked hard. You know, they talk about Dorsett, how hard he worked in the offseason, but Ron Springs did also. A year ago, Landry gave him a job. This year, he made him work for it, and he worked all year for it.
Cowboys have 3 tight ends in the game. That's one of them, Saldi in motion. Dorsett will get the first down, and that's about it. Even then, they may have to measure. Frank LeMaster on the bottom of the pile.
There's a lot of green jerseys. I'll tell you, that's one thing about this Philadelphia defense. They probably pursue and swarm and gang tackle. Look at all those guys out there. There's about 6 or 7 on that pile. They all swarm that football.
Springs goes out of the game right now. Dupree is in. Pearson goes out wide to the left. Jay Saldi's in the game. Hill is lined up as the fullback. I don't think that'll last. For Tony Hill, picked off. Bernard Wilson on the interception comes out of the end zone with it. Pass was intended for Hill.
Listen to this crowd and the excitement here. You know what happened on that play? As we'll see it again, he was going to fake a screen to the left. Watch, see the fake there? Now he put there. Now
34-yard line when we come back. With John Madden, Pat Summerall at Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. The matchup of the year, perhaps, between the Eagles and the Cowboys, ranking 1 and 2 in the NFC East. It's 0-0. Jaworski will throw again on first down. Goes deep for his tight end. Quickly back there with him is Charlie Waters on coverage. Waters with him all the way.
We were expecting that they would be testing Everson Walls deep, and they're testing Charlie Waters deep. They had both wide receivers over here on the left side, and they go to their tight end deep on the right side, man-to-man on Charlie Waters, but there is a flag on the play.
Dick Vermeil had said for the most part, it's against Dallas, that his Eagles would throw on first down and throw a lot, and they've certainly done that.
Well, that's the thing that everyone has tried to do against Dallas, because we know they use that flex defense. Therefore, they only have 2 defensive linemen up on the line in rushing position.
Face mask, number 54, defense, first down.
I'm sure that mask just ended up in his hand somehow.
Randy White and Petey Perreault having a battle. Green Bay has gone ahead of Seattle now, 28-24. This is Montgomery. And he barrels out to about the 35 for the Eagles. Michael Downs, the safety man, had to make the stop.
That's really not a bad plan against the Cowboy defense, is to throw on running downs and run on throwing downs. Like they come out first down, throw the ball, it's incomplete, come back and run on second down.
Touchdown pass from Eric Hipple to David Hill as tight end. And the Lions have tied the Rams 7 apiece. Hubert Oliver, the ball carrier for a couple. Randy White on the bottom of the pile.
Hubert Oliver is an interesting player. He's a 10th round draft choice. His nickname is Rockman. I like that for a fullback, Rockman, because of the way he runs. But this is the first Philadelphia-Dallas game that he's ever been in. And I was watching him in the pregame introductions. The guy had to push him out there like, you've never been there before, we'll give you a little help.
It'll be 3rd down and 2 for the Eagles with just over 1 minute left to play in the first quarter. And we have no score. Jaworski might throw it. Jaworski chased and sacked by John Dutton. Dutton not fooled at all. And Big John, as we said before, playing better and better.
That's the one that we saw him practicing yesterday, the short yardage. See, they try and fake a run, and make them think it's short yardage and then come back and pass, but they pulled the guard and no one blocked John Dutton, and he was right in Jaworski's face. I'll tell you, that's a load to have in your face. Big John Dutton, 6'7", 263 pounds. I'll tell you, that'll put a little bruise on you.
Runniger, deep for the Eagles to kick. Fine punt, chases James Jones all the way back inside his own 25. And Jones gets outside the 30 to about the 32. Good coverage by the Philadelphia Eagles. And Dallas will take over. San Francisco beat Pittsburgh 17-14. Atlanta over New Orleans 41-10. The NFC's Western Division at the moment, San Francisco now 7-2, Atlanta 5-4 after their victory. And those two will match next week here on CBS. The Falcons in San Francisco.
The Falcons have lost 4 games, but they're still one of the best teams in the NFL, and the 49ers are for real.
They've made believers out of a lot of people, including us.
Fred Dean, remember?
White hands back to Dorsett, and he whirls for about 4. Outside the 40, Carl Hairston, who's always around, made a stop on Dorsett.
What the Cowboys would like to do is they would like to run on this 3-man line thing and try and get that 2nd and 5, those types of situations that they're in right now.
Right now they have it 2nd and 6 as they'll change ends of the field. That's the end of the first quarter in Philadelphia. The tackles, John Dutton and Randy White. That earned Ernie would put a hurting on you.
Ernie would put a hurting on you. He was just telling John Dutner, if they pull that guard like that, just run right in and get the quarterback. Dutner saying, I did it. I said, good.
2nd and 6, Dallas. Randy White up under the center here. Drew Pearson swings in motion. White will put it up. Good protection outside, intended for run. Springs and overthrown. Randy Logan was with him. Springs, Dallas leading pass catcher. That contest now in the second quarter at 3 apiece between the Patriots and the Raiders. Herbert Scott, you don't hear much about him, but he sure can play.
When you do hear about him is any time that they run anything to the left on a sweep or a swing, he's always getting that big block outside.
It'll be 3rd and 6. You saw Ron Springs leaving, and you see now Dallas going into the shotgun. Rafferty to center. He will not look back, but he pops it true. Right for Hill. Caught. Tony Hill breaking loose. Down to about the 34-yard line. First down, Dallas. Herman Edwards knocked his shoe off.
Oh, and as Herman Edwards frustrated on that one because he really had pretty good coverage. We'll see it here. Now, again, on most 3rd down plays, the Eagles will play a man-to-man pass defense. Now, watch Edwards here. He just reached in with his opposite hand, his far hand, trying to reach across. He missed the ball, and, of course, Tony Hill caught it.
Well, there's a lesson there to tell a young receiver or any receiver. Watch that ball all the way in. Don't be distracted by those hands and arms flying across in front of it.
Hill wasn't distracted at all.
First down, Dallas, 2 tight ends. Salby in the game to the left side now. Here's Dorsett looking for room. Not finding much. He did get 2 or 3. Tripped up as he swung over to the right side, hit by Reggie Wilkes. Charlie Johnson helped him out.
Al Chesley, the inside linebacker, number 59 of the Eagles, who took Bill Bergey's place, played with Dorsett at the University of Pittsburgh. And he was saying the thing that always impressed him about Dorsett was that he has not only 1 gear, but 2 and then a 3rd gear. And I think on that last run, we just saw a 2nd gear.
The last 7 games against Philadelphia for Tony Dorsett have not been up to his standards. That's what he's done, averaging less than 4 yards a carry. He'll try again. That'll help his average. Dorsett fires down for a first down about the 20.
I'll tell you, I love that. He really did fire in there. Watch this blocking on the right side by Kurt Peterson and Jim Cooper. You see, we get a lead block by Springs on the nose tackle. We have the wing coming across. They double inside, double outside, and Dorsett just explodes right through the hole.
Got a first down just outside the Eagle 20. No score. 12:49 left to play in the first half. Dorsett looking very determined and running in the same fashion. Dorsett again. To about the 16. Robinson on the bottom of the pile.
Well, the Cowboys are doing something right now that I haven't seen them do in a long time. I don't know if I've ever seen them do. Just taking the ball and just running it right out of defense. And really, against this Eagle defense, a 3-man line, the way they pursue, that's the way to run on it. The way they did these last 2 plays.
Cowboys for a long time have had that reputation of not being a team that would fire out, but finesse you more than anything else. Robert Newhouse is now in the backfield. And Newhouse gets the carry, and the house gets down to about the 10. Very near a Dallas first down. Harrison made the tackle.
You know, they are working the insides. They started out and they tried to work the outsides. And again, the thing that this Eagle defense does is pursue, as we look at Robert Newhouse here. But now what the Cowboys are doing is running right at him and working the inside against the nose tackle and the 2 inside linebackers.
Randy White. His technique may not be the best, John, but he sure gets the job done.
I'll tell you, I like him a lot better when he's up on that guard, not in the flex position.
About a half-foot short. Charlie Johnson out of the game and injured for Philadelphia. Not seriously, it doesn't seem. Michael Downs getting some work done on his left forearm. The rookie rookie free agent safety man from Rice.
Tom Landry was telling us last night that he's so quiet. He never says anything. He says you really don't know how he feels.
3rd and inches. Dorsett and Springs, the two runners. White trying to pull him offside. Salvi. Springs has the first down at about the 7. Salvi on that outside trap.
On that short yardage, they always do that, and you would think that the people would key. Now watch here, we'll see Saldi come in motion from the outside. Right there, see, and he leads on Lemaster, and then Springs is able to get the ball inside for the first down.
1st and goal, Dallas at the 7. No score as yet, but the Cowboys at the door. Eagles 1 game ahead of them in the standings in the NFC East. Johnson back in the game now. He came out briefly. Butch Johnson for Dallas comes left. And Dorsett and Springs are the runners. Here's Dorsett down behind the line of scrimmage by Johnson. He lost a couple.
Did you see that Charlie Johnson and Carl Hairston, the excitement? And then those guys are like two brothers. They're always together. I saw them out here in the field. They really work well together. When one does something, the other one's right there to help them out.
There is Charlie. That job of middle guard sometimes is so thankless, but you can't get frustrated.
I was talking to Carl Peterson before the game, and he told me that the job he's done, they've torn up his contract 3 times.
2nd down, back at the 10. White will throw. Looking for Pearson. Throws behind him. Al Chesley may have deflected it.
It must have been a deflection because he really had a shot in here to the end zone. No, it wasn't a deflection. It was just a bad throw. He just threw it behind Drew Pearson.
So it will be 3rd down and goal from the 10. Eagles put in their pass rush unit now, which includes Claude Humphrey and Greg Brown, who's quite a story.
Number 98. He's a true 98.
Up there. Listen to the crowd as White tries to call signals and drops. Look out. Here comes Humphrey. Fumble. Cowboys do manage to get it back on a great effort by Pat Donovan, who made the recovery.
I'll tell you, that was a great play by Pat Donovan because he saved them a field goal. Of course, they won't have a chance at the touchdown, but he did save them a field goal. Now watch, it's a play pass here. There's nothing open to the right. There comes Hairston for the left. He just strips the ball out with his right hand. Pat Donovan makes a great play to save what could be a field goal.
Donovan, who was a defensive end in college, an All-American at that position, one of many that the Cowboys had changed from defense to offense. And Raphael Septien will kick with Charlie Waters holding. 32 yards out. Got it. And Dallas puts the lights on the scoreboard first. 32-yard field goal by Raphael Septien. The Cowboys lead the Eagles 3-0. 3-0 Dallas. 32-yard field goal by Raphael Septien, who will kick off right now. Wally Henry standing back at the goal line for the Eagles. Septien hits it deep. Good high kickoff. Henry at the 1. Henry whirls out to the 25 as a penalty marker goes down again. Anthony Dickerson made the stop.
It's getting so that on every return, whether it be kickoff or punt, it seems like there's always a flag on the play. I'll bet you that 75% of the returns today have some type of penalty on them.
Against the Eagles this time.
I bet that's that one behind the back, though, isn't it?
It's got to be. Jerry Seaman, the referee, will tell us in just a second as soon as he gets through walking it off against Philadelphia. Looks like they'll go with their 2 tight end offense.
Illegal block above the waist, in the back, number 57 on the return. First down.
Yeah, that's a good one. A lot of play this year on that one. someday they're going to have electronic devices where the players will have on them. When some guy gets blocked behind the back, above the waist, there's going to be sounds and lights go up. Boom, 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 you know, so everyone can see it. We never see those things.
That's a good sound, John. Carmichael out wide to the right, Smith out to the left. Montgomery, the one runner. Jaworski looking for Carmichael, had him in the hands. Everson Walls, the defender, but Carmichael was open.
He was open, and that was a good throw by Jaworski. I tell you, it's tough to throw in this position. Now watch Carmichael on Walls. It's man-to-man. He's in the ball hit him right in the hands. Harold knows that he has to catch those times. You know,
Everson Walls is the NFL's leading pass interceptor. He has 8. Free agent rookie who led the nation last year when he was at Grambling in interceptions with 11. Second and 10, Philadelphia. All at their own 11-yard line. 2 tight ends set up again. Jaworski will throw again. He has Carmichael this time for the first down in front of Everson Walls.
I bet that's one of those things where Carmichael went back and said, look, I'm sorry, it won't happen again. Just give me another chance on him. He says, okay, we'll give you a chance to run a hook. You just run up the field about 12 yards, work right back, and I'll hit you in front of Walls. One thing Walls did, though, he got, you know, he had to cover that hook, but as soon as Carmichael caught the ball, he took him down.
Walls is 6'1". Carmichael is 6'8". He goes over on the other side with Carmichael. Here's Montgomery with some room. Wilbur bangs out, fumbles, got it back. First down. Stopped by Downs.
You know, here's an example of something that I really believe is you can really set up the run by passing the ball rather than running to set up the pass. Now watch this, blocking in front of Montgomery. He can probably cut back against the grain and get his shoulder square and run over some people. Did you see the lick that he put on Mike Downs?
Wilbert was saying they list me as weighing 195 pounds, but I don't weigh that much. That 195 must be with all of my equipment on. Montgomery looking up straight ahead. Oliver down in front of him. First down, Philadelphia. Montgomery will run again. Nothing doing this time. Ed Jones stacks up everything. Let's check while we have a chance as they unpiled some other scores. Washington 14-0 over the Cardinals, second quarter. Detroit now 10-7 over Los Angeles, second quarter. Lions playing much better. Kansas City and San Diego tied at 7. New England and Oakland still tied at 3. That was a 51-yard field goal for Oakland.
Tall handled that left side that time. Look at the size of that guy and the shoulders on him. He's tough to run against, just size alone, if he just hung in that hole a while.
It'll be second down 10 for the Eagles. Jaworski back to throw. The protection holds up for a while. This is Spagnola. Spagnola still on his feet, breaking tackles inside the Dallas 40. Michael Downs finally got him down. Big John Spagnola.
This crowd loves it. This is Spagnola's first game back. He's had a pulled hamstring, and Dick Vermeil was saying yesterday it's going to be nice to have Spagnola back because of his size in there. He says he doesn't run great pass patterns, but he's easy for the quarterback to find. And the other thing is after he catches that, he's a little tough to bring down.
He's 6'4" and 240. That was a 28-yard gain. This is from Yale.
I remember when guys that size used to play tackle. Remember that? Other tight ends.
At the Dallas 36, first down Philadelphia. Cowboys lead it 3-0. Jaworski for Smith. That's complete. Everson Walls, the defender.
I'll tell you one thing, we'll see it again here. We'll see Smith come off the line. We'll see Walls. It's man-to-man. See, he's backpedaling. Watch him. Smith moves. Walls moves. And this has to be a great throw. If that's not a perfect throw, Walls gets in there and knocks it down. That's about as good a coverage as you can get. I don't care, rookie, 10-year veteran, anyone. That was great coverage.
There's Everson Walls. And no question about it. People have been looking to throw in that direction. Jaworski's going to work again. Going deep for Smith. And overthrown. Back with him, Dennis Thurman. And Charlie Waters coming over to help out.
You know, one thing about Everson Walls that is tough is that he's playing man-to-man all the time, Pat. You know, some teams play zone with rookies. There's a penalty out there, but he's always playing man-to-man.
Looks like the penalty is going to be against Dallas. Harvey Martin really upset at the moment.
Jaworski, he's up there. He wants to know what it is. He's clapping his hands. He said, we got it. It's against them. Dallas is standing there with the helmets in their hands.
Personal foul. Illegal head slap. Number 79 on the defense. First down.
Illegal head slap by Harvey Martin.
Look at Harvey. He's upset. Now what that means was against the tackle. It wasn't against the quarterback, but he and Stan Walters are going at it, and he hit Stan Walters in the head.
First and 10, Philadelphia at the Dallas 12-yard line. Cowboys leading 3-0. Jaworski looking for Smith again. Walls with good coverage this time. Right back there with him.
That Everson Walls must be something. You know, he must have a tough time sleeping at night, knowing what he has to go through, because they put Carmichael on him, they put Charlie Smith on him. We see Jaworski here, and he says, I want to get to Everson Walls, but Everson Walls says, I'm not going to let you.
In a conversation with Tom Landry last night, I asked him if Everson Walls had lost any of his confidence, and he said no, he hasn't. Once he does that, he'll be looking for somebody else. Coverage like that will keep your confidence, though. That was excellent. Waters fakes a blitz. Knocked down by Walls, and the penalty marker goes down.
This will be an interesting one. What the rule is if the ball is in the air, you can't touch him. You can go for the ball, you can tackle him after he gets the ball, but you can't touch him before the ball gets there. That was very, very close.
Pass interference. Number 24 on the defense. First down.
First and goal just outside the 2-yard line for the Eagles. Jaworski asking for quiet. Booker Russell and Wilbert Montgomery. What's coming, John?
That's why they put Booker Russell in. You know, he can block or run.
Wilbert Montgomery puts the Eagles ahead with that 2.5-yard touchdown burst.
High formation play, number 32, Booker Russell comes in the short yardage for the lead block. He leads, but Montgomery didn't need a lot of blocking. When he got his shoulders square, he knew it was touchdown all the way.
Baker out in front got a good block. Here he is rolling into the end zone.
And right there we saw number 32, Booker Russell was on Steve Wilson. He got a good block right at the goal line.
Shira will hold, and Tony Franklin will try to add the extra point. It is good. And the Eagles take the lead. 5:22 left in the first half. It is Philadelphia 7, Dallas 3. Young Everson Walls over on the sideline. A tough call against him. That pass interference. No question about the fact that the Eagles are working in that direction. Franklin will kick off. As I mentioned before, he's really been popping. This one off the side of his foot goes to Timmy Newsome, who swings from the 5. Newsome still goes. Whirl. Newsome still on his feet. Ball is loose. Angelo King came up with it after it popped out of Newsome's arms. There is Tom Landry over on the sideline. I ask him about Everson Walls, and here's what he had to say about Everson last night.
Don Shula last week at Miami, he picks on whoever he thinks is the weakest or the inexperienced guy, and they went after him, and they beat him some. But he also intercepted 2 passes in situations that kind of offset when they beat him. And as long as we can do that, we're okay. Now, if we don't get the interceptions now, it might work against us.
Along with interceptions, maybe we should have added interference. Tom Landry, one of the most astute, intelligent minds in football.
And there was a penalty on that last play against the Eagles, and that's why the Cowboys are in this position.
Face mask violation, unintentional at the 41. Cowboy first down, and White will throw on first, and does. Drew Pearson backs out of bounds. Roy Nell Young was the nearest Eagle defender. The Eagles did it well, didn't they? 8 plays, 89 yards, 345. They kept the ball. Montgomery, a 2-yard run to score. Big play was the pass from Jaworski to Spagnola. And then, of course, the pass interference against Everson Walls.
This is such a rivalry game that these two teams have been working against each other for a year now, not just this week.
Second down, 4 at the 47. Dorsett picked up by Ken Clark behind the line of scrimmage.
Tom Rafferty's having a little trouble with the nose tackle in there. That's the second time that the nose tackle has penetrated.
Oliver and Montgomery getting some instruction over on the sideline. Washington Redskins now rolling against St. Louis, 21-0, second quarter. Redskins seem to have gotten their act together in recent weeks. Third down, Dallas, and 4. 4.5 minutes left to play in the first half. It's Philadelphia 7, Dallas 3. Mike will throw if he has time. Dennis Harrison led the charge.
I'll tell you, Greg Brown was in there, the rookie free agent that was in construction last week, and we'll see him come right from Danny White's right side. You see, it's a stunt. He works to the outside. Now watch him right there in the picture. White saw him coming. That's when he brought the ball down. He was up there ready to throw. He saw Brown coming, brought the ball down, and then the rest of the group got to him.
Led by Claude Humphrey, and White will have to kick. That's the 4th sack by the Eagles on Danny White. Good kick. Wally Henry retreats all the way back to his 14. Cowboys down there quickly. Henry gets out of the pack. Wally Henry gets up to about the 27-yard line. Doug Cosby got him down, but Henry turned nothing into something. The Eagles will have it. With 3 minutes and 51 seconds left to go in the first half, they lead 7-3. And, of course, the third winningest coach in the history of pro football, Tom Landry. 27-15 against the Eagles, and in recent years, this has been about as even as you can find it. Carmichael out wide to the right with Walls right in front of him. Jaworski long count. Smith in motion. Thurman chases him across the field. The givers to Montgomery. And Wilbert straight ahead for about 6 or 7. John Dutton tripped him up.
Hey, that was a good job of blocking by Ron Baker and Jerry Sizemore there on the right side. They got some movement. They started to the left, and then he just broke it right back to the right. And the Eagle offensive line really controlled the line of scrimmage on that play. I love that in these big games. You know, those guys in the pits are getting down there and getting after each other. Whew.
Wally Henry stretching out that hamstring. Charlie Johnson being escorted into the Eagle dressing room as we have 3:13 left before the end of the first half. Fake. Jaworski with all kinds of time throws down the middle. Intended for Charlie Smith, and a good job by Walls this time.
I tell you, he's a scrapper. Harper, he's all over that field. He's been on Charlie Smith. He's been on Harold Carmichael. This is probably the toughest thing you have to cover man-to-man. A running pattern all the way across the field. Now look, he stays up there. Now right at the end, get that arm in there. Okay, it was a little too late. One more step, and he could have knocked that ball down.
As it was, he jarred it loose. It'll be third down, Philadelphia. At the moment, they have no running backs. I think it could assume pass. Jaworski looking outside to Campfield. Campfield stopped short of a first down by about a yard. Benny Barnes came up to make that clutch tackle.
Campfield shouldn't have done that, because once he got that ball, he should know where those sticks were, and he should have been able to turn and get underneath and get that ball up for a first down.
Looks like they need about a yard, and Vermeil sends Max Reniger, the punter, on the scene.
Fans were hoping they'd go for it. They were thinking, let's go for this.
In past years, in situations like this, I've seen him snap the ball to the master, who's the blocker. And usually it works.
Dallas has probably seen it, though, too.
They did it against Dallas. James Jones standing back deep. That's Lemaster up in front of Max Reniger. Lemaster signaling. Too much time. They were hoping that Dallas might jump offside. That will be the 2-minute warning. You look at Ron Jaworski over on the sideline. His Eagles, after that very impressive drive for their touchdown, lead Dallas with 2 minutes to go in the first half, 7-3.
You're looking at a...
Pat Summerall with John Madden, the vet in Philadelphia. Dick Vermeil talking with his coaching staff over on the sideline. And when he speaks, they listen. Coming up at the half, Brent Musburger and Irv Cross back from our studio in New York. They'll tell us what's happened around the rest of the league today and what's still going on. They did not take too much time, by the way. I thought they did. They were just waiting for the clock to run down to that 2-minute warning and talk things over. Philadelphia 7, Dallas 3. Eagles still taking a long time talking this one over. Some discussion appears to be going on between some of the officials.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly what that's about.
But what they do at the end of the half, they change captains at the 2-minute warning, so they go to both benches and get their new captains as to who can call timeout within those 2 minutes. Then the officials have to exchange them with each other.
That is Max Reniger standing back at his 20-yard line just outside the 20, and James Jones back deep for Dallas. End-over-end kick. Jones has to let it bounce. It does. And goes out of bounds at about the 25. Dallas with 2 timeouts left and 1:51 left in the first half. Next weekend on CBS Sports Saturday, you'll see the WBA Light Heavyweight Championship. Features 1976 Olympic champion Michael Spinks, who is undefeated as a pro. He defends for the first time against Vonzell Johnson next weekend on the CBS Sports Saturday, 4:30 Eastern, 3:30 Central and Pacific. 39-yard punt by Max Reniger. Stan Walters talking with Kenny Iman over on the sideline. Big Stan matched up against Harvey Martin today. Green Bay 31, Seattle 24, fourth quarter. San Diego has gone ahead of Kansas City 13-7, second quarter. And Mark Van Egan has scored for Oakland, and they lead New England 10-3. I know they're glad to have him back.
Illegally touching the ball. Player went out of bounds and was the first one to touch the ball when it came back inbounds. Go back with a 5-yard penalty.
Once you leave, you can't come back.
You can leave and come back, but you can't touch the ball. And what happened, it was the outside cover man for the Eagles, and he was knocked out of bounds, and he came back in. Now, he can make the tackle, but he can't touch the ball first. He came back, and the ball hit his leg. The ball hit him on the left side of the leg as he was coming back from out of bounds. You know, that's not a bad way to cover kicks. I've seen guys, and I've told my guys, you get out here on the sideline, and if you get bumped, just run right out of bounds. And you can cover a punt running all the way out of bounds and then come back in.
Big Harold Carmichael viewing things.
He never covered those punts.
No. So Runiger will have to punt again. Jones standing back at the 24-yard line. Eagles taking a long time. Runiger holds it, waits. And James Jones whirls up to about the 38. And again, John, you were pointing. The cover man did go out of bounds.
He ran out of bounds, and he ran into Chuck Bednarik on the sideline, who pushed him back in again and said, go get it.
It is Philadelphia 7, Dallas 3. A minute 39 left to play in the first half. The ball at the 39-yard line of Dallas. They have it 1st and 10 and trail 7-3.
And they have 2 timeouts, and with 2 timeouts and a minute 39, that's plenty of time for Dallas to move the ball.
Dupree and Hill come out to the left. Pearson to the right. Robert Newhouse and Dorsett, the runners, as White will operate on 1st down from the shotgun. Forward handoff to Newhouse. And Newhouse gets out to about the 45. Ken Clark and Al Chesley made the tackle.
They were down there. They tried to get into the passing formation again and run a running play.
Clock is running. Minute 15 by the time they get underway. Rafferty with a one-handed blind step. White up in the pocket. To Drew Pearson. Clutch catch. To the Eagle 34, 1st and 10 Dallas. Frank LeMaster knocked him down as White stepped up in the pocket nicely, and now they call a timeout.
And you talk about concentration and looking the ball into your hand. Drew Pearson really did on that play because he had 4 defenders around him. The ball went right through and into him. Now watch, he comes off, he's bumped on the line of scrimmage. He's bumped by Jerry Robinson, the linebacker. The corner, Edwards comes up, linebacker again. There's Chesley, and finally LeMaster gets him down. That's catching a ball in a crowd.
Pearson got a little refreshment after that.
You know, one thing about these Cowboy receivers, they're all tough. You take Butch Johnson, he's a tough, exciting guy, and Drew Pearson and Tony Hill, they'll catch that deep one, they'll catch a short one, they'll catch inside and outside, and they just seem to have ice water in their veins.
Pearson's been doing it for years. Here's Southey.
They'll catch that deep one, they'll catch a short one, they'll catch inside and outside, and they just seem to have ice water in their veins.
Pearson's been doing it for years. Here's Southey coming in now with Pearson and White after a visit to the sideline. Andy White. Butch Johnson. Next week, the NFL on CBS will feature the Giants at Green Bay, where we'll be. The Eagles at St. Louis, Tampa Bay at Minnesota, that's a big one. Chicago at Kansas City, Atlanta at San Francisco, speaking of big ones, and New Orleans at Los Angeles. 1st and 10 at the Eagle 34 for Dallas. Philadelphia leading 7-3. Johnson, Pearson come to the left. Southey is out on that side as well. Tony Hill to the right. Shotgun formation again. The Eagles put the pressure on this time, or try to. Hill has it knocked away by John Shira right at the last second.
Hey, we're talking about players that are back, and John Shira is back. He had an injured shoulder in the first game of the season, and he's the 5th defensive back. He comes in, he's all over the field. He made a great play on knocking that ball down.
Tony Franklin's glad to have him back because he's the holder for the Eagle place kicker. John Shira, who played for Dick Vermeil, was a quarterback at UCLA. He can do just about anything.
You may see him run one of those plays from a fake field goal or something.
Indeed, he might. A minute and 1 second left to play in the first half. Dorsett and Springs, the two running backs, but White operates from the shotgun. For Hill, got it. Tony Hill, still on his feet, struggles down to the 4. Talk about tough, John.
I'll tell you one thing, he is. You know, these wide receivers for the Cowboys, they just go into that middle all the time on posts, on ends, and hooks. Look at that. Boom.
Timeout, Dallas. Hill got about 5 extra on his own that time.
He did. We'll see it again because right after he catches it, number 22, Bernard Wilson, is right there. See, he just gets his foot in the ground, and boom, and he gives Wilson a shot, knocked him back, and as you say, Hill was able to pick up 3 or 4 extra yards. Now, you know, being down here with first down and 4 is probably one of the toughest places to score from because it's tough to run it in from there with only 41 seconds. And 4 yards, you only have 14 yards to work. You know, the 4 yards plus the 10-yard end zone. And this is where you usually go to work to a tight end, a big tight end like Dupree or Cosby.
Particularly earlier in the year, John, Dallas had an awful lot of difficulty scoring once they got inside the 10-yard line. That's why Septien had so many field goals early.
You know, the other thing, talking about scoring in Dallas, every game that they've scored first in, they've won. Every game that they haven't scored first in, they've lost.
They scored first today on a 32-yard field goal by Septien. The Eagles roared right back and got a 2-yard touchdown run by Montgomery. The extra point by Franklin, and that's been it.
Right, I see Billy Joe Dupree now coming back from the sideline with Danny White, and I would anticipate that he'll try and get the ball to Dupree somehow in the end zone.
Cowboys do not have any more timeouts. They've used their last one, so it's first and goal from the 4. Tony Hill comes out to the left. Drew Pearson goes right. To Dorsett. Clark. Fumble. The Eagles get it back. Al Chesley comes up with it.
Look at these Eagle fans. What a big play for the Eagles. Again, now we'll watch Clark there. You see the nose tackle, number 71, Ken Clark. He got penetration. You can't allow penetration on the inside. Clark got by, and he knocked the ball out before it could really get started.
Al Chesley, who recovered the fumble, was a teammate of Tony Dorsett at Pittsburgh.
Al Chesley recovered the fumble, but the guy that made that play was Ken Clark on the penetration. He was the guy that knocked the ball out of Dorsett's hand.
Jaworski, let's see if he tries for more, or we'll just run out the clock. Hand off to his fullback, Hubert Oliver. Nothing doing there. Ed Jones on the bottom of the stack. The Eagles will just let him run out.
I'll tell you, that was a surprising play for the Cowboys because they didn't have any timeouts, and you were sure that they would have to get the ball, throw it into the end zone. And when they ran with it, was surprising that the defense of the Eagles did such a good job of playing the run.
That'll do it for the first half at Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. The Eagles go to the locker room, leading the Cowboys by the score of 7-3. Just about the kind of first half we expected.
The Eagles dodged a bullet.
Surely did. And so at the half, Eagles 7, Cowboys 3.
Welcome back to the News Desk in New York. I'm Brent Musburger with Irv Cross. The San Francisco 49ers, the big story of the National Football League. They come back to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers 17-14 for the first time in the Niners' history. They have now won 6 straight games. Now, Joe Montana threw 2 critical interceptions. It gave the Steelers the lead, and afterwards, Montana explained what happened.
Well, we had our Dwight Clark coming out of the backfield running an option pattern where he has a couple things he can do. He can run out, he can run a curl, or he just sits down. Well, Lambert had gone over to take him, so I went to look at the halfback, and he's running an out and up. and I just started to get into the grass, and there was some confusion over there, and I was trying to throw the ball over his head, and just then I was starting to be grabbed, and I didn't get my full arm into it, and it looked just as bad as it felt. We were expecting a blitz there, so we were trying to keep everybody in and just work one of our halfback one-on-one with Lambert, and he had chucked him good and had good position on him. I was looking for the halfback to cut across his face. I threw the ball trying to time it, and I threw it just a little bit early, and he read it one way and I read it another way, and that's the way it goes when you have a couple plays where you got to read a guy.
But Montana and the 49ers did not lose their poise. A halfback option. It was Walt Easley to Charlie Young at the 5-yard line. And then watch Easley whip that Steeler defense. And Montana will take it.
It feels good, even though we didn't play well. We'll take this one on the road. You know how it is, where you can take a win on the road any way you can and go back home. And we got a tough game next week, and we start thinking about that now.
They played good enough indeed. 17-14, Terry Bradshaw threw 3 interceptions for the Steelers. He mentioned the game next week. It is against the high-flying Atlanta Falcons, who today rolled over New Orleans by a score of 41-10. The Falcons, though, are still 2 links behind the 49ers. But what a day Steve Bartkowski and Alfred Jenkins had. Here is a 48-yard touchdown. It put Atlanta ahead by 7. It was the first of 3 touchdown connections for this combination. Bartkowski, Jenkins, here's the 60-yarder. This put him up 31-10, and it was frosting time coming up for Big Steve. Alfred Jenkins, 48 yards. Jenkins sets a new Atlanta record with his 11th touchdown pass of the season. On the day, he caught 5 for 179 yards. And now, Irv, we look ahead, Atlanta, San Francisco. How about that showdown?
It'll be a great matchup because San Francisco has played a fairly conservative offensive scheme throughout their entire season. Their defense has come along well. Atlanta's primary concern was trying to improve on their special teams play of all things. And because of that, their offense exploded today. It'll be a great matchup.
Irv, taking a look at that young secondary, you were a rookie defensive back in the National Football League way back when. How tough is it for Lawton, Wright, and the rest of those players?
The big difference between a rookie in the secondary and a veteran player, Brent, is that your vision, I call it tunnel vision. You only see things in front of you. You have to see the entire field to be an effective defensive back, and that only comes with experience.
And boy, the Niners are getting it fast, Irv. The Battle of New York is over, and the New York Jets have won it, and won it big indeed. 26-7 over the New York Giants. The Jets sacked Phil Simms 9 times. Simms was shaken up. I understand he was still in the Giant locker room a short time ago. Miami a winner today, 27-10 over Baltimore was the final there. So, of course, the Dolphins stay atop the AFC's Eastern Division. Tampa Bay over Chicago 2010. Big Doug Williams. First he found Jimmy Giles for 81 yards. Then he went back and found Kevin House, and he was just throwing 9 of 20, but 122 yards on those 9 receptions and the 2 big touchdowns. Cincinnati over Houston, 34-21 was the count there. Kenny Stabler was injured, and Earl Campbell pulled a hamstring muscle, so the Oilers were beaten up as well as losing. Buffalo over Cleveland, 22-13 was the final there. Green Bay has beaten Seattle, 34-24, the final score. And another big one going on out in the West Coast, Detroit and Los Angeles right now, as we see the 49ers score again. Now here's the Lions and the Rams. 13-7 is the count in that game, and we can see what happened here early. It was Wendell Tyler who just broke right up the middle against the Lions.
Tremendous burst, Brent, as he goes off his left guard. He rambles 69 yards for the score here, and the Rams appear to have things well under control.
Now watch Eric Hipple. He's back doing it again. He'll go to David Hill, 19 yards in the score. And again, the Lions now lead the Rams. 13-7 is the count in that game. New England and Oakland are tied at 10. And Van Egan has returned, and he scored for the Raiders on a 3-yard run. Washington shutting out St. Louis, 21-0. Joe Theismann has opened it up on the Cardinals, who next week must host the Philadelphia Eagles. And oh, how the Eagles will be licking their chops when they view this game film. Theismann to Art Monk, 38 yards in a score. It was 7-0. Theismann will come back to Virgil C. Irv for 51 yards.
Virgil C. Great hands, deceptive speed, Brent. He's one of these guys who has tremendous concentration. See what he does there. 51 yards for the score.
John Riggins powered in, 2 yards out, 21-0. And again next Sunday, It'll be the St. Louis Cardinals and the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles got their hands full in the second half. Now, San Diego over Kansas City, 16-7 right now. That game's still in progress. And, of course, Philadelphia leading the Dallas Cowboys 7-3 on that run by Wilbert Montgomery. And the NFL Today continues on CBS after these messages from your local stations. Yesterday on CBS Sports Saturday, Andy Gannigan stunned Sean O'Grady. And next Saturday, Michael Spinks will defend his World Boxing Association light heavyweight title against 9th-ranked Bonzel Johnson. Now, Spinks is unbeaten in 17 pro fights, but as Pat O'Brien found out, Spinks' toughest foe may have been the shadow of Big Brother Leon.
He's in pretty good shape.
Michael Spinks was nervous. This was the comeback. For nearly a year, he'd been recovering from an injury and helping brother Leon cope with being heavyweight champ. Satisfied that Leon was okay, Michael stepped into the ring with only 5 days' notice, but apparently enough notice to put him well on his way to his own title.
I went on out with a dream that me and Leon could become, we could be sitting on top of the world together.
Leon had become an overnight phenomenon. In other words, the American dream had happened. The people who had moved in on Leon had turned Leon around to where Leon wasn't the Leon that he knew as his brother.
Michael called them leeches. Go ahead.
Leeches, right.
I said it's not going to happen to me.
That's right, man.
That's exactly what I said. I didn't say maybe it's not. I said no, I couldn't tolerate it. I sit back and saw him just all over Leon.
Because they were brothers and in the same profession, people have a tendency to think they're one and the same.
Leon's Leon and Michael's Michael. Leon liked things his way and I like things my way. I knew I could.
Ready to kick off the second half at Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia, with the Eagles leading the Cowboys 7-3. Statistical picture of the first half.
I think that big one down there, their turnovers. You see the Cowboys had 2 turnovers, Philadelphia none, but that big turnover just before the half when they had first down on the 4-yard line.
Dallas 9 first downs to 8 for the Eagles. Raphael Septien will kick it off. Wally Henry back deep for Philadelphia. Septien drills it. On the goal line, Wally Henry. Out of the pack is Henry. Still on his feet is Henry. Out to the 42-yard line. Jimmy Newsom tackled him.
Watch Wally Henry come out of there. He's like he's shot out of a gun. You know, one thing, this takes a lot of toughness here to see this kickoff. The ball's coming down to you like this. You're waiting. You catch it. Now you look at 10 white jerseys. Septien's not in there. And you have to take it and run it right up the middle, right at him. And watch how he keeps his feet going. He was thinking touchdown on that, not just 20-yard line.
42-yard kickoff return by Wally Henry. Puts the Eagles in good shape. Montgomery and Oliver. Back to Montgomery. Penalty marker goes down. John Dutton took Montgomery down. Billy Joe Dupree over on the Dallas sideline playing catch with Gary Hogaboom. We talked about the dominant runners, Dorsett and Montgomery. Here's how they performed in the first half.
Well, Dorsett has 28, Montgomery only 32. It doesn't look like either one of them got warmed up yet. And on that last Montgomery run, it looks like they just got a 15-yard penalty.
The quarterback comparison. Danny White, 7 out of 14.
Illegal use of hands, number 34 on the offense.
Hubert Oliver, the violator, runs Jaworski 6 out of 11 for 69 yards. No TDs, no interceptions. White had 1. The big turnover, however, was that big fumble by Dorsett. It'll be first down, Philadelphia. Back at their own 32-yard line now, as Jaworski has only Montgomery behind him. He gives to Montgomery, and he gets a couple before the Cowboys stack it up, led by Brunig, Randy White, and all the rest.
Rodney Parker's out there. He was getting stretched out before he had to go in. He's a third wide receiver, and right after halftimes, those hamstrings will tighten up sometimes, so they try and get him stretched out and worked out before they go in and have to go out for a pass, which he'll do on this second and real long.
He and Billy Campfield go in passing situations for Philadelphia. They operate now out of the shotgun. Down by Steve Wilson. Pass intended for Charlie Smith. Wilson, good play.
Ron Jaworski's clapping his hands there because he knew that was very close to an interception. It was a good play by Steve Wilson, and very well could have been an intercepted ball. Ron Jaworski, he's waiting for that third down play to come in to see if that's a little better one.
It's 3rd and 17 back at the 35. Dick Vermeil calls all the plays. He does it by signal into Jaworski. That's his situation at the moment. Not a very enviable one. 3 wide receivers. Carmichael and Smith both to the left. Parker out to the right. Dallas with the blitz. Pass is complete to Rodney Parker in front of Everson Wall.
I'll tell you, that was a perfect pass, a perfect call, because they had 17 yards to go, and Parker runs an 18-yard pass pattern. See, you have to know. In fact, the officials are going to measure this, but he has to know right there. It was right at 17. Now watch, we'll see the sticks right there, the first down marker. He has to get by that, and he did, right there at the end. You have to know on that third down, you have to know where that first down marker is. But now this is what gets you, that left foot, right foot, I'll tell you, every time it's just where that guy puts that ball down. Look.
They mark it shy of a first down, and John, do you go for this?
I wouldn't, no. I don't think you do with the score 7-3 and you're ahead.
They leave Jaworski in, and it looks like he is going for it.
Short yardage defense. When they all get up there, see them all up there, they're going to stay low and penetrate.
Montgomery is not one of the runners. It's Oliver and Booker Russell. Got it. Booker Russell over the left side, first down Eagles.
That was the right call. Look at Big Booker. I signed him as a free agent. He was with us in the Raiders, and this is one thing that he can do. Booker Russell is 245 pounds, and he learned how to run behind those shoulder pads. And I'll tell you, when he just gets those big legs cranking, he's tough to stop for less than a half a yard.
Vermeil's gamble pays off, and the Eagles get a first down at the Dallas 45. They already lead 7-3.
Very gutsy call by Dick.
And Jaworski apparently got a mix-up in the signal from Dick Vermeil, and he wanted to talk it over. So the Eagles take a timeout, so they have 2 left in the second half. The Eagles leading the Cowboys 7-3. Dick Vermeil surveying the situation. He has the biggest coaching staff in the NFL, and Tom Landry, his counterpart on the other side of the field. First down, Philadelphia at the Dallas 45. 12:39 left to play in the third quarter. 2 tight ends in the game. Quick count. Montgomery. John Dutton takes him down after White almost had him.
Again, the Eagles are doing the same thing. They're running right at him. Now watch Randy White there, the right tackle, 54. He is so strong that he's one of the few people that can really stand up and still be strong enough to play off the guard. That was Steve Kenny playing the right guard. You see what he did with him? He just straightened him up, threw him right to the ground, and went in and got an arm on the tackle. Look at the arms on that guy. That left arm fills up that jersey pretty good.
It'll be second down, Eagles, as Montgomery is behind Jaworski, and he'll carry.
It's one of those penalties that happen happened before the ball was snapped. It's either encroachment or a false start.
Right tackle on offense.
Excuse me, I was just saying that. It's either a encroachment or a false start, and it was a false start. So the whistle blows before the play gets started.
Let's run down some of the other scores now. That's the final. The Packers win over Seattle 34-24. Third quarter, Washington 21, St. Louis nothing. At the half, Detroit 13, Los Angeles 7. And San Diego now 19-7 over Kansas City at the half. Oakland 13, New England Patriots 10, third quarter. Second down and 10, back at the 45 now for Philadelphia. Jaworski, no shotgun, up under the center. Fake draw. Jaworski looks deep for Carmichael. He's got him. And over his head. Walls was back there, but Carmichael had a couple of steps.
He did have a couple of steps on Walls, and it looked like Jaworski just threw it over the wrong shoulder because Carmichael looked like if he could have stayed in stride that he would have had this. Now watch him come up. He's going to run to the inside. He starts out now back to the inside. A great move. He went corner post. See, he's looking over the right shoulder, and the ball was thrown over his left shoulder. But he had him. He had about 2 steps on Walls.
A great career he's had. 10. 3 wide receivers, shotgun formation. Randy White all over the place. Pass is picked off by Downs. He gets away from Carmichael. Mike Downs down the left sideline, still going. It's Downs. At the 45, Dallas takes over. Campfield brought him down.
This is Mike Downs' interception, but this was caused by the rush. We'll see Dennis Thurman, 32. You see him coming on the blitz. He comes from the outside. Jaworski sees him, and just as he goes to throw, just as he went to throw, Randy White hit him, and he threw the ball right to Michael Downs. That's one of those interceptions that Downs gets, but the credit should go to Randy White and Dennis Thurman.
There's Michael Downs, who came up with that interception. And the Cowboys will have it when we come back. 1st and 10 at their own 45. There's Michael Downs, who came up with that big interception. He has 5 this year. Walls has 8. Thurman has 6. They lead the NFL.
That was what Tom Landry was talking about. You know, you keep throwing enough and we'll get our share.
Into Eagle territory. About a 6-yard gain before Jerry Robinson stops him.
Those are big things. You know, we talked about that before the game. You can say that, you know, statistically there's more first downs, more yardage, but those turnovers are so much bigger than any yards gained or first downs that they really come back to haunt you.
Eagles didn't have any turnovers in the first half. Cowboys had 2. Now the Cowboys have got theirs on the interception by Downs. 2nd down, 4. Eagle 49. Fake outside Drew Pearson. Blockers in front. And Pearson will have a Dallas first down at the Eagle 44. Roynell Young nudged him out of bounds.
You know, I wanted to make a point earlier that just after that 4th down, when the Eagles went for it on 1st down, they then called a timeout. And I think in this game that maybe that timeout was more important than the 1st down. That you have to keep those things in bunches, and that's something that at the end of this game it could get very tight, and they could all be wanting a 1st down. Hairston's out there watching that thing.
Pearson did not get the first down. They mark it down about 3 inches short, it looks like. This telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League, is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Philadelphia Eagles and the National Football League is prohibited. Next Sunday, CBS Sports will bring you that lineup of games. John and I'll be in Green Bay, or in Milwaukee, where the Giants visit the Packers. Philadelphia goes to St. Louis, Tampa Bay, Minnesota, Chicago, Kansas City, Atlanta, San Francisco, and New Orleans at Los Angeles. Big one at Candlestick. Third and short. White changed his mind and looked as if he was going to hand off to his fullback Springs, and then decided he might as well go ahead and do it himself.
I don't know if that was a broken play or not. We'll see it again here, but Dorsett was lined up deep in the I formation. He starts to the left, and then he just finds a soft spot in there and gets enough for the first down. Knowing Dallas, I would think that was a play that they were going to run. It was a little counter quarterback sneak.
It didn't look like either of the backs was expecting to take the handoff. Newhouse in the game instead of Springs in. The house is knocked backwards by Jerry Robinson in his game.
We'll see Charlie Johnson's back in there now holding up that middle. You know, he's been in the Pro Bowl the last couple years, and one thing, there's probably no better nose tackle against the run than Charlie Johnson. So he plays in first down. He comes out now. Then Ken Clark goes in and plays those passing downs.
That's an interesting battle to watch with Rafferty, having been a former guard, of course, and rather new at center with a man right in front of him. Pearson swings in motion. White's going to throw. Got Hill open. Tony Hill down to the 22-yard line, wrapped up by Herman Edwards.
I'll tell you one thing about the Cowboys. After they get through all that motion and stuff and movement around, and they just run a hook here. Now we see Tony Hill. He's working against Herman Edwards. That last step, just before he turned to come back to the quarterback, was the one that got him open. He gave a long driving step like he was going deep.
There's members of that young Dallas secondary. Benny Barnes nearest you. Everson Walls the farthest away. Dorsett and Springs. The pitch is back to Tony Dorsett. Nothing doing, or not much doing, I should say, down to about the 19. Frank LeMaster stopped him.
You know, earlier, Dallas was running Dorsett right at the Eagle defense and inside. And they were having a little success there. And they really, the sweeping stuff really isn't a strength against the Eagles defense. I'm surprised that they don't start working that inside and middle again.
Butch Johnson has replaced Drew Pearson. And he goes out wide to the right. He can be dangerous in a situation like this. Two tight ends line up for Dallas. They give to Dorsett. Dorsett down to about the 15.
Yeah, that's the one I was talking about right there. Just take the ball, hand it to Dorsett, and just pound it right in there on that right side there. I think that's where they get something going.
That is up to date as of this minute. The NFL leading rushers, number 33 for Dallas, Tony Dorsett with 930 yards on the year. Earl Campbell second. Rookie George Rogers next. Andrews of Atlanta. And then comes Joe Cribbs.
Hey, get that mouthpiece in there, Tony, before you go. Okay, we're ready to go.
3rd and 2 from the 15. White's going to throw it. Looking, gets away from one man, throws. Dorsett had it. Dropped out of his hands. Intercepted, I believe. Robinson, I believe, came up with the interceptor.
That's a... What an alert defense this Eagle defense is. We'll see what happens. We see White going back. He's going to be flushed out of the pocket. He has to run. Dorsett is not his primary receiver. See, he'll start to run here. See, Dorsett sees him run. He works to the right. He sees Dorsett open. He had him. Go right through his hand. And watch Jerry Robinson right there coming up and getting the ball before it hit the ground. Very alert.
And so the Eagles escape again as Dallas was at the door. They'll have it 1st and 10 from their own 8 with 7:05 left, 3rd quarter. Have the football. 7:05 left to play, 3rd quarter. Philadelphia leading 7-3. That's the breakdown on those interceptions by that young Dallas secondary.
That's number 1 in the league.
72,111 in attendance at the Vet today.
the way he plays, though, Pat. He looks like he's always hurting, but somewhere he'll find some energy in that body. You know, last week they took him out. He hurt his shoulder. They took him into the locker room. He recouped, and he came back and he gained over 100 yards. And you just look at those eyes, you know that he's ready to gain yards against this Cowboy defense. Look at that determination.
2nd and 5 for the 13. Clock running. Montgomery again. Nothing this time. The middle of that Dallas defense stacked him up.
I'll tell you, too tall Jones will be right down there. He's very tough to run against. Really, Sizemore really isn't getting a lot of movement on too tall.
John, do you still think that the leading runner between Montgomery and Dorsett will determine which team wins today?
I still think so. I really do. And, you know, the game is so close, 7-3, that neither one of them really, have an advantage in the rushing yet.
That's what Montgomery has done. 47 yards and 11. He is flanked out wide to the right. Downs is out with him. Jaworski. A lot of time. Carmichael has it. Harold Carmichael off to the races. He'll go all the way. Is Bedlam.
They're going crazy here. They love Harold Carmichael. When he gets that stride on you with that big 6'8", those long legs, there's no way. Tom Landry's saying it happened again. He was man-to-man on Everson Walls.
John Shira in to try the extra point. To hold for the extra point. Tony Franklin will kick. We can't hear anything. Touchdown catch in Harold Carmichael's career from Jaworski.
Harold Carmichael has caught over 485 passes. Look at that. He was man-to-man on Walls. He got a step. Walls just got his right hand in there and missed. But the surprising thing, I don't know where the weak safety was. There's no way that Walls can cover man-to-man all over the field. Now watch Carmichael. He's the inside guy. He's going to the post, but he should have Michael Downs in here or Charlie Waters. He should have a safety helping him in the post. That's impossible coverage.
So the Eagles lead now 14-3. The crowd is still roaring about that touchdown pass from Jaworski to Carmichael. Look at them, still on their feet.
They're giving this team a standing ovation, and it's been going on for about 5 minutes now. This is a standing ovation.
Franklin drives the kickoff to Timmy Newsom. Newsom is hit down hard. Ray Phillips, the first man to hit him. Tom Landry has to be concerned about his young secondary. When we talked to him last night about it, here's what the coach had to say.
Well, we think we have a future there. I think we got young players that can develop into good National League players, but that doesn't help the situation right now. There's no speed up for defensive backs. They have to spend a lot of time out there till they learn. And obviously, if you look at the stats, you'd have to say that Philadelphia has a pretty good chance to win tomorrow if you just look at the statistics.
14-3, Philadelphia's ahead right now. Dorsett swings out of the backfield in motion. 5:11 left to play in the third quarter. Right to Dorsett. Tony spins back to the outside, may have a first down. Frank LeMaster with him.
I'm sure that Dorsett was happy to get that ball back. He really hasn't been successful against this Eagle team. Remember in the playoffs, in the championship game, he had to fumble. He had a fumble just before the half, and then he had that deflected pass down here.
Harold Carmichael, who is from Raines High School in Jacksonville, saying hello to his home
saying that was a bomb he just caught. He said that was a bomb.
That's Ron Springs for a Dallas first down to the 40. Al Chesley tripped him up. 4:20 left to play third quarter. The Eagles leading the Cowboys 14-3. Touchdown by Montgomery, a 2-yard run. And a big 85-yard bomb from Jaworski to Carmichael.
You have to remember the comeback that the Cowboys made last week against the Miami Dolphins. Danny White says that was no fun. You know, you have to remember how much you were behind.
Line of scrimmage, the Dallas 40. Fake is to Dorsett. Hill. Knocked out of bounds and called incomplete, I believe.
No, I don't think that's incomplete. I think he's marking that there. I don't know what he's doing. He's standing there and marking it. He's saying now, Hill's saying it's complete. The official's saying incomplete. I don't know about that. He stood there and marked the ball like it was complete. That's it. Now right here, again, possession. You have to have the ball in your hands, both feet on the ground, and then when you get the ball. Herman Edwards knocked the ball out of Hill's hand, but it looked like the official marked it at first and then said no. Let's see, now again, he has to have it with both feet on the ground. He has it. Okay, now he hits the ground, 1, 2, and the ball's knocked out. I would think that was possession.
I think that was a complete pass.
Yeah.
Second and 10, nevertheless, no matter what we think. Dorsett was the man in motion. Here's White again. Listen to the crowd roar. White fires. He has Hill this time for the first down. Herman Edwards again made the tackle, but Danny White very coolly found Tony Hill. And that quiets him down just a bit.
You're right, Pat, and the officials aren't going to listen to us. Never have, never will.
Even when you were coaching, huh?
I'll tell you, but Danny White came back and made a great play there.
Third quarter, Detroit still holding that 13-7 lead over L.A. San Diego now 19-14 over Kansas City, and New England ahead of Oakland 17-13. First down, Dallas at Eagle territory at the 47. This is Springs. And he gets nothing, maybe one. Reggie Wilkes, the first Eagle there.
They really play that line of scrimmage. Springs started the inside. There was nowhere to go. He tried to slide along. The defense just slid right with him, gave him no holes.
Out come Hairston and Charlie Johnson, and the pass rushers go in. Claude Humphrey and Ken Clark.
See, Charlie Johnson did his job. He goes in, first down, stop the run, create a long yardage situation so we can put our pass rushers and pass defenders in.
Logan comes out for Philadelphia. Blackmore is in. Second down and 9 for Dallas. From the shotgun, they blitz. White again steps up. White throws. Hill had it, dropped it.
Hill is frustrated there. You know, he had the ball on the sideline, and then he had this one. And we'll see. Let's see it again. Let's see what's going on down inside there. You know, that's where it all happens, the pass protection. Watch Big Dennis Harrison. They call him Bigfoot, size 16 shoe. Watch the blocking on him. We'll see Jim Cooper had that right hand in there and looked like he was holding him off with a little help. Big Dennis, he's hard. Once he gets going upfield, he's hard to stop.
He is big. 6'8", in the neighborhood of 300 pounds. On the shotgun. Salvi has the first down. Clutch catch by Jay. Reggie Wilkes tackled him.
I'll tell you, Danny White's coming up with the plays when he has to have them. Watch this shotgun. See, looks downfield. He sees Saldi all the way. He runs an out move. He has linebacker coverage, and he's able to get the first down.
Line of scrimmage will be the Philadelphia 34-yard line. 1.5 minutes left in the third quarter. The Eagles lead it 14-3. White will be up under center this time. Tripped
only 1 minute, 10 seconds left to go, and I wonder if the Cowboys may be getting paranoid about this end zone here and maybe want to wait and go and try the other end zone. They've been down here 2 times, and they had 2 turnovers when they got down here. They're moving the ball, but they just can't get it in the end zone or through the uprights.
2nd and 8 at the 32. Clock still running. He has some room. Set very near a first down. LeMaster, the first Eagle to hit him. Help from Al Chesley.
Now that was a real interesting play. You know, most times on trap plays, it's usually a guard that pulls and makes a trap. On that play, it was a tackle. It was a right tackle, Jim Cooper. Now we'll see him. He'll come from the right. See him come across there. He's coming all the way from the tackle position. Right there, he makes the block right there on Robinson that springs Dorsett. I'm sure that the Eagles have never seen that type of blocking before, and Robinson's probably saying, where'd he come from?
That's the end of the 3rd quarter. They'll swap ends now. Score in Philadelphia is the Eagles 14, the Dallas Cowboys 3. That Summerall with John Madden at the Vet in Philadelphia. That's the score as we start the 4th quarter. Dorsett 15 carries 45 yards. Montgomery 11 for 47 yards.
Philadelphia's ahead.
3rd down. About 1. Maybe 1.5. That's Dorsett. He was hit right at the line of scrimmage. I don't think he got it. LeMaster led the defensive charge.
I don't think he had it either. Now, this is going to be an interesting decision if he didn't have it, whether they go for it on 4th down or not. But I'm sure that the Cowboys will probably go being down 14-3. You see, a field goal doesn't play a big part now because you need 11 points.
They've already got the field goal.
Yeah, right. And they need 11 or more, and a 7 and a 3 wouldn't do it. And that's what Tom Landry's thinking right now.
Robert Newhouse in the game with Dorsett. 4th and about a foot. First down, the same play that got it in the middle of the field a minute ago.
That's that same play. You know, they get the line down. They get the linebackers. You see the linebackers there? They're keying the 2 backs. Now watch both backs go left. You see what it did to the linebackers, and then White is able to find a little soft spot there in that right side to get the first down. That's a pretty good play.
Good key block by Herbert Scott. That's the place to go. 15 first downs for Dallas, 10 for Philadelphia, but the Eagles lead it 14-3. They're at the Philadelphia 22-yard line. Danny White going for Dupree. Off his hands. Jerry Robinson back there with him, but that was very nearly 6 for Dallas.
I tell you, that looks like about as good a pass as you can throw. That ball looked like it went right through his hands. Watch Dupree. He's big. He splits him. He splits Robinson. Robinson has as much speed as a safety. Dupree should have had that ball. I mean, when you get it into your hands like that, that was a great throw by Danny White.
Perfect. So it'll be 2nd and 10 at the 22. White is now 12 out of 23. But Dallas still has no touchdowns. Run springs down to about the 16, knocked back by LeMaster again.
Here's Tom Landry. He's thinking of the play that he has to call now. We can see he's giving it to Butch Johnson. He went to the signal system. He didn't like that. He says this gets more players into the game. Johnson comes in. He tells it to Danny White. Now Tom Landry is thinking of the next play. He's thinking what he'll do if he gets a first down or what he'll do if he doesn't get a first down. Thinking of play ahead.
The Eagles are in with their pass rushing unit now. Humphrey on the left side. Clark in the middle. And they move into the shotgun as Dallas Dallas lines up with 3 wide receivers. Here come the Eagle pressure. White looking, throw it, White. Doug Cosby, touchdown Dallas. The big tight end just went up and got it.
I'll tell you, this is a great effort by Danny White. He starts out, and the pass protection breaks down. He knows he doesn't want to run. It's 3rd down. Now watch him. He gets it. We see the snap, the blind snap. We see the pass rush. Now watch. There's nothing open. He starts to run up. He says, I don't want to run with the ball. I have to stop. He finds Cosby, 6'6". That's the advantage of height when you get down to the end zone. I like that Doug Cosby. He's a good player, but he's a heck of a kid, too.
Charlie Waters will hold for Raphael Septien. All the time left in this one. Septien hits. We'll be back with more of the Dallas Cowboys against the Philadelphia Eagles after this word from your local station.
Next visit today.
That's the story of the Dallas Cowboys scoring drive. 14 plays, 75 yards, and it's 14-10. Philadelphia over Dallas. Raphael Septien will kick off. Wally Henry back deep for the Eagles. He almost broke one earlier.
Septien has a mouthpiece. You know that?
Yeah. There's a story behind that. Over to the left side. Henry comes banging out over there. He gets up in the wedge. And now he's out of the wedge. A penalty marker down as Wally Henry steams out to the 40. Dennis Thurman stopped him, but they'll bring it back.
And I'm sure it's against the Eagles because they're all going to the field they'll be back there inside about the 10-yard line when they get finished with this penalty.
Referee Jerry Seaman giving us the indication it is against Philadelphia.
I think that's that deal behind the back, above the waist type of thing that we see a lot of this year. But that wouldn't be bad. You know, if the players were electronically, and then when that happened, they would kind of light up. And you'd beep, 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 and then the guy that did it would whoa,
Illegal use of hands. Number 52
above the waist.
Receiving team during the return. First down.
Above the waist. Behind the back. Below.
Tell you what, John. When you're riding on the train from city to city, why don't you invent something like that?
Well, that's what I think about. I was riding on a bus when I thought about that one. Wire them up.
We'll run down all the scores around the league for you in just a second. What happened earlier and what's still going on. First down, Eagles. D.D. Lewis sacks. Too tall Jones back there with him. D.D. on Jaworski. He was the first one there.
Jaworski didn't have a chance, and that's the thing. They tried to pull the center. Now, watch the center there. Watch Morris come out there to the left. He bumped Jaworski a little, and then he misses D.D. Lewis, and then D.D. Lewis gets him from the backside. But they had to block that outside linebacker with the center. And first of all, he bumped Jaworski, and then secondly, he didn't block Lewis.
D.D. has said this year will be his last. 13 long years he's played. Jaworski. Throw out of the end zone. And does. As his receiver, Charlie Smith in front of Emerson Wall. That gets him out of the hole. Not quite enough for a first down.
It's not, but the one thing it gets their punter plenty of position to punt the ball. Now watch this. This is a gutty throw throwing out of the end zone. And watch right at the end when Hagman comes in here. So we see the catch here. Now watch right there when Hagman comes in. He threw a punch. He hit him right in the face. He hit Charles Smith right in the face. And then he turned around to see if any officials saw that. He got away with one.
It's about a yard short of a first down. The line of scrimmage, the Philadelphia 19. Cowboys stack it all up in front. Look out for this one. Montgomery. He'll have it. Wilbert almost breaks the whole thing. Charlie Waters, the last Cowboy, took him to the ground.
Look at the determination and the look on Montgomery's face. This is a big third down play. They have to get this or punt. Now watch when he cuts. He really takes a hit there and gets level. All it does is put him up the field again. Geez, did he run with that ball? Now, he ran that thing like a fullback. He was a man possessed. That's determination. Whoa.
To be only 195 pounds, and he says not that much, he is unbelievably strong. Montgomery again. Not much this time. Let's run down those scores we promised you just a minute ago. That's the final. Atlanta 41, New Orleans 10. The Bucks beat Chicago 20-10. San Francisco over Pittsburgh as they continue to roll 17-14. Miami over Baltimore. That's 8 straight losses for the Colts. First time in their history that's ever happened. 22-13 Buffalo over Cleveland. Chuck Knox has done some job. 34-21 Cincinnati over Houston. The Jets won the inter-city battle over the Giants 26-7. They can brag for a year. Green Bay 34, Seattle 24. Final score. Washington 28, St. Louis nothing, fourth quarter.
Illegal use of hands, number 73 on the offense.
I'll tell you, that's the biggest drive stopper there is when you get a holding penalty on a first down running play.
That changes the whole complexion of everything. It's Steve Kinney who has replaced Petey Perreault. It's called for holding. Fourth quarter, the Lions over Los Angeles 13-7. 19-14 San Diego over Kansas City, third quarter. New England 17, Oakland 13, fourth quarter. And that's it. Right here, it's 14-10 Philadelphia over Dallas. Jaworski will throw. He has the protection. Incomplete. Steve Wilson on the coverage. Did a good job.
Steve Wilson comes in on the passing downs, and he's really been having good coverage all day. We see him out here. He's on Krefli. Krefli's a tight end, but he was playing a wide receiver position. He tried to run a little hooker comeback. Wilson didn't go for it. He played it right there.
So it'll be second down, 20. At the Eagle 18. Billy Campfield in the game now for the Eagles. Jones, too tall. Is too tall for Jaworski to get over. And Big Ed takes him to the artificial turf.
Too tall was too tall and too much and too wide and everything. We watch him here on the left of the screen. He's working against Jerry Sizemore. He gets inside him. He takes an inside move. Look, he darn near goes down, up in the air, doesn't let him throw, and then comes right back and makes a play. That's a pretty good move. I mean, for a little guy, it's a good move. But when you're too tall, you're not too tall to make a good move. That's a good move for someone that's too short.
Would you repeat that, please?
I was always called too wide.
Third down and 34. Penalty marker goes down in the end zone. Forward handoff that
False
time.
start, number 75 on the offense.
And Walters is number 75. Coming up on CBS tonight, the usual fine lineup, 60 minutes first, every which way but loose, followed by the Jeffersons.
Every which way but loose is what the Dallas Cowboys are doing on defense now to the Philadelphia Eagles.
So it's third down and 36. The ball back at the 2-yard line.
You know, passing is very dangerous here because if you have a penalty in the end zone, it's 2 points.
Jaworski standing in his end zone in the shotgun formation. Cowboys do not blitz. Jaworski throws outside. Incomplete. Back there was Walls. Intended for Charlie Smith, and Rudiger will have his back to the end zone when he punts.
That's right, and he won't have the whole 15 yards. Watch Harvey Martin here, 78. He's working on Stan Walters. This is a classic battle. Walters gets his hands right up right now, right underneath his face mask. He's just trying to turn him out, run him by Jaworski. Now, this is a tough thing here because the punter usually lines up 15 yards deep. See, now he's only 12 yards, which is a different snap for the center and a different catch for Rudiger.
James Jones back deep for Dallas. Standing about the Eagle 40. Don't try to block it. Rudiger doesn't catch the whole thing. Jones comes over the sideline. Dallas has it Philadelphia 14, Dallas 10. A 38-yard kick by Max Runiger. 10 at the Eagle 40.
This can very well be the game here. I think that the Cowboys, of course, have to move it. Conversely, the Eagles have to stop them on this drive.
Saudi, the tight end, lined up to the right side. Here's Dorsett. Tony Dorsett with room, and Dorsett down to about the 24. Bernard Wilson tackled him. Dorsett's biggest gain of the day.
This is a thing that you try and do. You like to run inside, you work them inside, you pound, and then when everyone gets a little tired, maybe a little step behind, then you pitch the ball out to Dorsett. But watch when he squares those shoulders up, and he can see. He has great vision, and he can run straight upfield and get it into that second gear and maybe ready to get into the third gear.
Now it's Kirk Peterson and Cooper, the two blockers out in front. A 16-yard gain by Dorsett. Dallas first down. They give this time to Springs, and he lunges down inside the 20 to about the 19. Robinson made the tackle. Springs made something out of not much then.
That wasn't bad because he made just about 5 yards on that. As you say, that really, he did make something out of it, because this is the type of situation that you want to be in. This is the type of situation Tom Landry likes to call plays, you know, the 2nd and 5 situation, because it's a run or pass.
Dorsett 70 carries, 60 yards. Montgomery 12 carries, 56. He's the lone setback. Pitches back to Dorsett again. Tony fumbles out of bounds. Reggie Wilkes, the nearest Eagle who caused the fumble. He's the last man to have possession, though, so the Cowboys still have it.
Tony Dorsett, walking back to the huddle, was talking to himself there. He said, geez, I can't do this. I've already had a couple. I can't have any more. All it did is just bumped right out of his arm. It wasn't the hit that caused it. It just moved right up his arm, and he's very thankful that that sideline was there to catch it.
Actually, he fumbled for yardage. The ball went up close to a first down.
When I was coaching in Oakland, we did that one time for a touchdown. We had 3 fumbles, touchdown, beat San Diego.
Newhouse is in the game with Dorsett now. Third, about a foot for Dallas. It's Newhouse. And he's got the first down at about the 10. Greg Brown led the Eagle defense, but it'll be 1st and 10, and they'll move the sticks.
It's a very interesting thing that the Cowboys are doing. They're starting to run like blocking, trap blocking, everything to the right. Then they're letting the fullback cut it back to the left, because the Eagle defense is so great at pursuing that they're over pursuing that hole.
It's 1st and goal, Dallas at about the 9.5. They've been here before. The Eagles have gotten out of it. Busted play. Dorsett down close. Touchdown, Dorsett.
Wonder if Tom Landry smiled on that one. He looked like he liked that play. You know, the way Dallas runs plays, they're different than any other team in the National Football League. And a lot of times it's hard to say if it is a misplay. See, it was a little counter draw. Dorsett took 2 steps to the right to get the defense to come over, and then he hit it back there to the left and into the end zone. Now watch it. See, he takes the steps to the right. They pull the left tackle again. It's the same. I mean, the right tackle, Cooper, pulled to the left, and it's the same play that they had run earlier.
Key blocked by Donovan up front as well. Dorsett did the last 5 on his own. Septian drills it. And the Cowboys take a 17-14 lead. A 9-yard touchdown run by Tony Dorsett. A very determined Tony Dorsett. 17-14 Dallas. Dorsett every year since he's been a running back. Going back to his high school days in Aliquippa, Pennsylvania, he's gained 1,000 yards, and he's creeping up on that figure again this year.
Players that gain 1,000 yards every year should be from Aliquippa. That's a great name for a football player from Aliquippa, PA.
Wally Henry at the 5. He's almost busted a couple already. And again, the penalty marker goes down.
The Eagles have really had a tough time in this 4th fourth quarter getting any field position. This is the second time that they've received a kick. They've had that penalty. The one that they ought to have lights for. Beep, beep, boom, boom. You know, above the waist and so on, but they've always started backed up, and that is really difficult.
Once again, it's against the Eagles. Let's see against whom.
Illegal block above the waist in the back. Number 52 on the return. First down.
That penalty has to be leading the league this year. That penalty leads the league.
No doubt about
Let's see
it.
if we can see Billy Campfield here. Oh, there's one right there. I think it just happened just before that.
It was against Ray Phillips.
Yeah, I think we saw it just before the end of the run.
Eagles have the ball at their own 10-yard line. 7 minutes, 13 seconds left to play. Trippley is split out wide to the left. Waters comes out with him. Dallas in the flex defense. Jaworski back to Montgomery. Wilbur rolls outside the 10 to about the 12.
Did you see Harvey Martin come flying across that? I'll tell you, great players like Harvey Martin play great when they really have to have it. Now watch him on Stan Walters there. He plays him off with his right arm, plays him off with his left. He sees Montgomery coming, and he gets a piece of him right there, and then just keeps on going for about 4 yards. Oh, Harvey's ready. Harvey's ready to play that right side. He said, "Don't come to my side now."
It'll be 2nd and 8. 6.5 minutes left to play. Dallas leading Philadelphia by 3. Jaworski will throw. And outside Smith. Knocked backwards by Walls. He did not get the first down.
I'll tell you, they're going to catch those things in front of you, and Everson Walls has to let him do that, but that was a good tackle because he made the tackle and didn't allow him to get the first down. I think they're taking Walls out on passing downs. Now watch the side of both receivers, the 2 wide receivers. We'll see Charlie Smith take the outside. Now Walls lets him catch it, but watch him come up and make that tackle. Smith didn't get a chance to take another step.
They need about a yard for a first down. Charlie Smith has 3 catches on the day. Carmichael gets back in tight. 2 tight ends. Other side, it's back to Montgomery. He's got the first down and more. Montgomery knocked out of bounds by Thurman, and I mean popped.
These fans want a penalty on that. They're saying if they hit Wilbert Montgomery out of bounds, now again, he's coming up the sideline. He goes out of bounds right there. He's out. And now Thurman comes in and hits him. That was a late hit and a hit out of bounds. They have to protect those ball carriers on that. They shouldn't be able to do that.
Montgomery now has 67 yards on the day. 14 carries. 5.5 minutes, 5:36 to be exact left to play. Eagles first down. Jaworski, a reverse coming. That's Carmichael. Carmichael caught from behind by Bob Brunig. It looked like that might develop into something.
They did a thing there that I never did with my quarterbacks. They had Ron Jaworski. We'll see it. Ron Jaworski hands off in the sweep to Montgomery, and then he hands off to Carmichael. Jaworski was out there leading blocking on number 79, Harvey Martin. That'd be a tough assignment where you tell your quarterback, okay, Jaworski, you have Harvey Martin. You block him. Holy. You'd say, give me some more money or another pregame meal.
After all that, they only got a yard out of it, so it's 2nd and 9. Clock running, 4:50 left to play. Billy Campfield. The Eagles operate from the shotgun. Parker and Campfield both in the game. A low snap. Jaworski got it. Fires down the middle. Caught and then dropped. Incomplete. Carmichael almost made a spectacular catch.
I'll tell you one thing, he made all those fans stand up and take a look at it. Watch, the snap was a little low. Jaworski's looking. He comes back to Carmichael. He finds him up in the air. He had it, bobbled it, got it back again, and then bobbled it again just as he was going down.
Downs and Dickerson in that struggle for possession with Carmichael. 3rd down and 9. 17-14, Dallas over Philadelphia. 4th quarter. 4:37 left to play. 3rd down, Eagles. Dallas faking blitz, and here they come. Eagles pick it up. Thurman. Jaworski had to get rid of it. Late hit on the quarterback.
And they got Thurman on that time, Pat. Dennis Thurman was the one that made the hit on the sideline on Montgomery. This time he comes on a blitz, and they threw the flag. They said that it was a late hit on Dennis Thurman on Ron Jaworski, who's down here. Watch it. This is a full blitz. We'll see Thurman. He'll be up in the lane on the right-hand side. Coming, Benny Barnes, 31, coming from that side. Now watch the backside. Thurman right there. Jaworski throws it. Thurman puts his helmet in him. Now watch this. The referee has this call. He's right to the right of the quarterback. Quarterback lets go. You can't hit him after he throws it. Thurman levels him. 15-yard penalty. Jaworski is still down on the field.
Nailed him in the ribs with
a helmet. Number 32 on the defense. First down.
It'll be a first down, Philadelphia. There's the man who hit Jaworski, Dennis Thurman. Not that big, but is he tough? Dallas leads by 3. Here's Jaworski coming out.
Standing ovation. Now watch this. What they call here is spearing with the helmet. See, he throws. Now watch Thurman's helmet goes right into his ribs. Remember a year ago, the Chicago Bear game that happened to him. Hartenstein, and he got the, he didn't get penalized in that game, but they did fine Hartenstein.
And there's your new quarterback, the ex-Giant Joe Pisarcik. Played in Canada for a while. He's done a heck of a backup job here when he's been called on. In that game you just mentioned, Pisarcik came in, replaced Jaworski.
That was from the same side, too. Last year, same side. Except last year, it looked like he got hit more in the back. That's a trainer, Otho Davis, with Jaworski.
Hubert Oliver is the lone setback behind Joe Pisarcik. Pisarcik back to throw. And as Carmichael breaks the tackle. Harold Carmichael still on his feet. Down to the Dallas 34. Charlie Waters finally.
What a play by Pisarcik, being able to come in here. Dennis Thurman must feel that he's being picked on now. Because we see Pisarcik. What a play coming off the bench. And your first play has to be a pass. Good pass. Now watch him. He hits Carmichael. That's Dennis Thurman on him. See, Carmichael's just too big and strong. Whips him off with that right arm. And we have a fight out there in the field. There's a fan out there. Look at the policeman coming out there. I don't know why this happens. Look at it. Yeah, baloney. Put your hands down.
He came all the way out of the other end zone, tried to run off with the football. You see who stopped him? Bob Brunig grabbed him.
It was Brunig grabbed him and held him until the police got out there.
4 minutes left to play. Now the clock starts to run again. Remember that the Eagles used a crucial timeout earlier in this second half. They're just about in range of Tony Franklin already. Hubert Oliver rolls around the right side. Ed Jones stopped him, but not before a big gain. 7 yards at least.
I think Hubert Oliver right there showed everyone why they call him Rockman. Right at the end of that run, we used to always tell our backs, finish off your runs. Finish them off. Don't go down when you're first hit. Now watch him finish it off. Here he got the first down. And boom, run through and get about 3 more yards.
It'll be 2nd and 3. Montgomery flanked out wide to the right. Joe Pisarcik, the quarterback. Again, it's Oliver. Nothing doing this time. Randy White stacked everything up.
I think they ought to maybe bring Montgomery back into the backfield. As you said, they've been splitting him out as a pass receiver, trying to make Dallas think pass and then run on him. And maybe it's time for Wilbert to come in and start running the ball the way Tony Dorsett did on the last series.
The information on Jaworski is that he has bruised ribs. That's where Thurman hit him, and that's where he's got the ice pack.
Now you can see the ice pack right there on the left side.
Third down, 3. Montgomery is indeed in the backfield. The fake is to Montgomery. Pisarcik has some room. He'll have the first down. Pisarcik out of bounds at the 15.
Pisarcik, he's not known as your running quarterback. There's a lot of quarterbacks that are running quarterbacks. Joe Pisarcik has never been. This is an option runner pass. See, he was trying to pass. Carmichael was covered. He couldn't find the receiver. He knew where the first down marker was, and he picked it up.
The line of scrimmage will be the 16. Joe Pisarcik, who took a lot of abuse in New York when he was there. Down he goes, back to Montgomery. He is taken down by Ed. Too tall Jones, shy of the line of scrimmage. We'll have the 2-minute warning in just a minute. Or just a second, I should say.
In just no seconds. Right now we'll have it. What a game this is. I can feel goosebumps all over my body. I love this. This is what the NFL is all about.
Dallas has 3 timeouts remaining. The Eagles have 2. And we have 2 minutes left. The Cowboys ahead by 3 points. Veterans Stadium is in an uproar at the moment as the Eagles have it 2nd and 10 at the Dallas 16. The Cowboys leading by a field goal. Joe Pisarcik has replaced Ron Jaworski. Pisarcik look for Carmichael here. Big Harold goes wide to the right. Crowd on its feet. Pisarcik fakes to Montgomery, goes for Carmichael, too high. Almost picked off by Mike Downs.
You call that one, Pat. He did. He got out there again on Efferson Walls. He tried to go a play pass to hold the linebackers and then throw a slant in here to Carmichael. See Carmichael in there? 1, 2, 3. That's even too tall for Harold Carmichael. But see, Everson Walls could jump. He got up there as high as Harold Carmichael did.
Situations, the rookie seems to be able to get it done. This time Carmichael is split to the left. 3 wide receivers. Pisarcik will operate out of the shotgun. Dallas coming with a blitz. In and out of the hands of Charlie Smith. Good pass. Steve Wilson on the coverage, but Pisarcik had it.
I know it, and that's about as good a pass as you can throw. I think this is Rodney Parker here. He's running a slant. That ball is right there. You have to catch those kind. I'm sure Parker realizes it. Whoa, what a throw by Joe Pisarcik. He has really come in here and done something.
It's 4th down, Tony Franklin. John Shara will hold for Franklin if indeed it is a field goal try. At the 24, it'll be from 34 yards out.
Now it was a good snap, and it's a good hold. As you said, he just pulled it to the left, right outside that left.
And so the Cowboys survive that eagle thrust. And they still lead 17-14 with 1:46 left to play.
This ball's on the right hash mark, so what he has to do is he has to compensate a little to bring it to the left. He overcompensated, brought it too far to the left, all the way outside this left upright. See, because if he kicks it straight, it would have gone into the right upright, so he has to bring it to the left a little, and he overcompensated.
So Dallas has the football with 1:46 left to play. Eagles have 2 timeouts left. Dallas has 3. Dorsett, the deep back, springs in front of him. Handoff is to Dorsett, guiding that football, and he got about 5 yards. Harrison, Charlie Johnson on the tackle, along with Al Chesley.
I'll tell you one thing that we mentioned earlier. Philadelphia would love to have that timeout back that they used early in the second half.
They've just called another one, so now they only have 1 left.
They only have 1 timeout. See, and Dallas has second down, so they can take 1 after second down, but they have none to take after third down, and Dallas can run off on that third down play about 40 to 50 seconds.
Annie White over talking with Landry at the moment. Don't forget next weekend the WBA Light Heavyweight Championship. Michael Spinks against Fonzel Johnson from Atlantic City. 4:30 Eastern Time, 3:30 Central and Pacific. There's that timeout situation we were just discussing. Dallas has all of them.
And right now, that can be the biggest stat. That could be the biggest stat. Timeouts remaining. We just saw Joe Pisarcik talking to Ron Jaworski.
Jim Myers over on the Dallas sideline. Cowboys were down 14-3. The Eagles had gotten a touchdown by Montgomery. An 85-yard shot from Jaworski to Carmichael. There's Jim Myers. Dallas Cowboys came back. A touchdown run by Dorsett that put them ahead. And a clutch touchdown reception by Doug Cosby. Second down 5 for the Cowboys. Newhouse is the lone runner. Long count by White. Hand off Newhouse. He won't get the first. About a yard shy. Clock still running. Frank Lemaster tackled him.
The Eagles will take a timeout now. Now that's their last timeout. So now after third down, Dallas, I'm sure, will run the ball and the clock will continue running. And they can run off about 40 seconds. So if the Eagles stop them, they'll get the ball back again, but they'll get it back with no timeouts.
That's the up-to-date standings in the NFC's Eastern Division. When the day began, the Eagles were 7-1 and the Cowboys were 6-2. Giants have already lost. St. Louis and Washington are still playing.
We said that this was a rivalry, and it sure is. And look at the difference here. You know, we have all the passing, we have the young defensive backs, we have everybody. Tony Dorsett, 78 yards. Wilbert Montgomery, 67. That very well could be the difference in this game.
It's third and about a yard and a half for the Cowboys. Dick Vermeil, the ever-enthusiastic Philadelphia head coach. Sarchek and across the way. The same expression always on Tom Landry's face.
I think that's the first time I've ever seen Tom Landry do anything that emotional. Take a drink of water. There's a little smile there.
Not on his face, though. Or his. Cowboys out of the huddle on third down and 2. Line of scrimmage to 28. Dorsett and Newhouse. Hand off Newhouse. He will get the first. But the Eagles have no more timeouts.
They stopped the clock. Well, they'll start it going now. I don't know why they stopped the clock. I guess it's to unpile. Well, they haven't even started it yet, but this isn't a timeout situation. There'll be a timeout, automatic timeout, change of possession. This isn't one. They had 1:20. Now Dallas will run off 30 seconds. They'll run off the full 30 seconds, and then there'll be an automatic timeout after they catch the punt at change of possession.
Rafferty is the snapper. Back to White. Less than a minute remaining. Rafferty. Good snap. Trying to block it. And White gets Bounce off a rocket. Wally Henry will take it for the Eagles back at the 22. He puts it on the ground, picks it up. Wally Henry is swarmed on by Dallas. Timmy Newsome, the first man down. 43 seconds left. That was a 47-yard clutch punt by Danny White.
It was a clutch punt. And now the Eagles behind Joe Pisarcik, they have 43 seconds, but the big thing is no timeouts. They have to complete passes on the sidelines or get out of bounds.
Don't forget 60 minutes following football. Except on the West Coast where you'll see it at its regular time. Also, we'll have Brent Busberger with an update of all the scores and what happened in the NFL today. A lot has happened at Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. Out of the shotgun. Too tall Jones after Pisarcik and takes it down. What a day he's had.
I'll tell you, Too Tall started to play in this second half, and he's really been controlling from that side. He's given Jerry Sizemore all he can handle. Now the Eagles don't have time to huddle up, so they'll just call the play on the line of scrimmage.
Second down. Pisarcik retreats. And again, he's hit hard. Intended for Charlie Smith. Randy White belted Pisarcik in the back.
This is tough. Everyone in the place knows that you have to pass. So look at this rush coming. Look, there's Randy White coming, and he hits him right in the back as he throws the ball. Whew. Boy, that'll hurt tomorrow.
Clock is stopped now with that incomplete pass with 26 seconds left to play. Pisarcik again in the shotgun. Jaworski out of the game because he was hit on a blitz by Dennis Thurman. Pisarcik again. And again he fires. It's complete to Carmichael. Eagle first down at the 40. Dennis Thurman made the hit. The clock is still running. The Eagles hustling up. Clock still running. He's got to stop it with an incomplete pass here to get something organized. Pisarcik looking left. Throwing. No time left on the clock, it says. And that's the football game. The pass was incomplete. And the Cowboys have gotten some measure of revenge for their loss in last year's NFC Championship game and beaten Philadelphia 17-14.
What a football game we saw today. It started out with the fans standing up, and it ended up with the fans standing up. And it was excitement and hard play the whole way. What a great game.
Producer of the NFL on CBS, Charles Milton III. This game was produced by Terry O'Neill, directed so capably by Tony Verna. All the rest of you, we say thank you very much too.
Great job.
A jubilant bunch of Cowboys. That flight back to Dallas will be short. Excuse me, short tonight. We're going to pick up the action in Los Angeles, where